Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, and today I'm going to be reacting to the 2017 movie Dunkirk, which, if you've been following along on my movie reactions, is a bit different from what we have been doing for a little while. We've been doing some Disney movies for a little while, in case you haven't seen those. Last time we did Hunchback of Notre Dame. There'll be a playlist at the end of the video, or down in the description if you want to go check out any of my other movie reactions. But yeah, this time around is Dunkirk. Historical film as well, which is pretty cool. So yeah, this one, it's World War II. Unfortunately, I don't know a ton about Dunkirk, other than I believe it's, I don't want to say like a rescue mission, but kind of just a mission to, okay, I'm pretty sure, and the movie will show me, obviously, but I'm pretty sure it's like there's like a ton of troops that are out at Dunkirk, and they got to get the hell out of there. So I believe this is about going and saving them. I think. Not too knowledgeable on this. Despite the fact that I do have a bachelor's degree in history, there are some things I just don't know, which is true of any history major, anyone with a history degree. We can't know everything. However, it tends in these videos, I always tend to not know specifically what I need to know for the video. So yeah, so that's always kind of unfortunate. But yeah, that's pretty much it. This will be interesting to see. I don't know like what's gonna happen, or you know, if it's going to be ungodly depressing or anything. I don't know. I have seen the movie, a recent World War II movie. Oh, no, World War I, duh. A recent World War I movie, which was 1917, and I really enjoyed that. So it will be interesting to watch this one. If you want to watch along with me, there are multiple ways you can do that. First off is just letting the video play, and you'll watch the edited reaction, where we'll have about 15-20 minutes of footage of me actually watching the movie. But if you want to take that a step further, you want to watch the entire movie with me, then you can if you are signed up for the full-length tier over on my Patreon page, which will be down in the description, maybe in the pinned comment too. And if you sign up, it's only $5 a month, and you can watch every full-length reaction, including my full-length reaction to Dunkirk. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much it, I suppose. I really don't have anything World War II-y in the room for a prop, so I just kind of got this plane that I seriously had to dust off, and it's also kind of broken. It's been in a closet for a while, so we'll just try to ignore that. Yeah, I guess that's that. It's always hard to find like things to talk about in these intros before movies. But yeah, that is pretty much that. So we might as well get right into Dunkirk. Here we go. Alright guys, so copyright issues on this movie reaction. So we gotta do what we kind of always do when we have too many copyright issues. I'm sending this reaction to a redirect. What does that mean if you are unfamiliar with what a redirect is? Well, basically, the reaction to Dunkirk is not going to be here in this YouTube video. Instead, you've already watched the intro, now we have this bit, and right after this is going to be my discussion on the movie. But you can still watch my reaction to Dunkirk. All you have to do is head down in the description or to the pinned comment, click on that there. There'll be a link there. You just click it, and boom, there you go. There's my reaction to Dunkirk. It's completely viewable. Like, there's no paywall, no nothing. It is literally just one click away. Then you can start playing, watch it. Hopefully you enjoy it. I know I had a lot of fun reacting to Dunkirk. And when you're done with that, I do highly encourage you to come back to this YouTube video so that you can watch my discussion. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Once again, link is in the description. Go watch the reaction, have a good time, and I will see you guys later. Alrighty, that was Dunkirk. What a great movie. I really, really, really enjoyed that one. It does kind of remind me of 1917, which I have previously watched, although this came first. I guess just because, it's another World War movie, that one being World War One, this being World War Two. But yeah, it was really interesting. I like that the way this movie is structured, you're kind of left like you wouldn't suspect this from the beginning, but I like that I like that it's technically not told to you in sequential order, because it'll play certain scenes at certain points, but then it will show you where these characters were when that other thing that we already showed you happened. So we see the one guy's plane going down, and then that continues from the other guy's Farrier's perspective of him still going. Then we get a bit more with Mr. Dawson's boat until eventually they catch up to that point and they save him. So I really enjoyed that. Because you wouldn't suspect from the beginning oh, this is told out of sequential order. You're just watching the movie, and it's not until it pretty much it doesn't become obvious until they have the shots of. It doesn't become obvious until the shots where it'll cut to Mr. Dawson's boat and it's daytime, and then it will cut back to the gang the gang of soldiers that are on the one ship, and it's nighttime basically. That's the first point where it's very obvious that it's not being told sequentially, which you have to wonder well, okay, I guess the whole thing with the thing is I suppose they do sort of tell you though. They do sort of tell you, even though I didn't understand this, but I do now, is that they basically tell you how long it is for each plot line. So for the gang of soldiers that were on the mole, for them it's it says it's a week. So now, does that mean they spend an entire week going through ship after ship, sinking and sinking? Maybe, I'm not sure. I don't think they really show. I don't think they make it clear enough if that is a week. But they do show, from the sea, it's a day. So that is pretty much just one day that Mr. Dawson, his son, and George are, heading over to Dunkirk. They pick up the one soldier. They pick up the pilot. They get there. They get as many people as they can, and then they get out of there. And then that night, they make it back. And I guess it's the same thing for the pilots, where because they say in the air it's about 1 hour. So for them, it's about an hour, and towards the end of that hour is when the one pilot gets shot down, and then he gets picked up by Mr. Dawson. So, yeah. Oh. So I like this. So I guess technically they do tell you up front about the fact that this movie is not in sequential order, technically. But I wouldn't. I feel like you would be forgiven for not understanding that at first. So I'm gonna pull up cast. Okay. Trying to see if I recognize anyone. I don't think I really do. So yeah. Okay. But this will be helpful for this will be a bit helpful for names. So our main guy, yeah, I guess that was our main guy, one of the main soldiers. Yeah. One of our main soldiers, I guess, was Tommy. Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's the thing. They don't say the names often enough for you to really get them, but that's fine. It's not really like it's not something where you would really need that. You know, I remembered Mr. Dawson and George, but I don't necessarily remember Tommy because there was never anyone really saying that. Whereas there were people saying Mr. Dawson and George and Peter. So yeah, and okay, so then the other pilot was Collins. Got that. And some of these guys don't even have names. Like, you know, second build guy is just billed as French soldier. Then we have Gibson. And then like 2 actors down, we have Irate Soldier. Irate Soldier. He's a knockoff of the angry video game soldier. Sorry. Dumb YouTube jokes. So, okay. I wrote down a ton of notes because I did want to try to like remember everything to talk about it. But even though I wrote down like a crap ton of notes, I don't think we're gonna be like spending like 8 hours talking about this. So, okay. So the first thing I wrote down is trapped. So I was pretty right about like what this movie was about. The whole thing with Dunkirk was, yes, there are 400,000 British troops basically that were just stuck on the beaches waiting for boats to come pick them up, you know? And at this point, the war had not ended. There were still, you know, Germans pretty much right there, and the French were holding them off. And yeah, they were trying to get all these men back to Britain for what they viewed as the inevitable invasion of Britain, which ended up not happening. I mean, well, yeah, there was never a boots on the ground invasion of Great Britain. So yeah, so that was interesting. I was pretty much right about it. I mean, so there were soldiers trapped on the beach. That was basically what I said at the beginning. So I was pretty right about that. And man, just seeing all those lines, you know, because they said, you know, oh, Churchill wants to save 30,000 men, and someone else wants to save 40,000. There are 400,000 men here that want to get the hell out, you know? So that was pretty interesting to see. And, like, you did sort of see the lines, at the very least, towards the end, you saw the lines really start to diminish, you know? So that was good, at least. So yeah, let's see. I did like that we saw, because we had you know, pretty much an entire like plot thread was Mr. Dawson, his son Peter, and his friend George on their boat trying to get over to Dunkirk. So now here's the thing. They said there was a call. There was a call for civilian ships, and what we saw there just before they departed was the Navy coming in and basically procuring everyone's boat to be of use. But it didn't seem like, but like, I don't know, because at the end, like, all the boats just show up anyway, and then they make landfall at the beach, so that all the soldiers can just get in there and get out, you know? But, yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure, like, so why? Because those were just people on those boats. So is it that the Navy? Because I don't think they would have kept the crew of that boat. Like, if they came and took Mr. Dawson's boat, I think they would have just taken the boat and gone. You know, I don't think they would have brought Mr. Dawson with them. So I guess at the ending, is that all these people that show up are like Mr. Dawson and Peter and George, where they all got away, before the Navy procured their boats, and they went to Dunkirk. They all felt this duty to go and help these troops. So yeah, I guess it would be something like that. So that was pretty cool. It was really interesting. Honestly, I don't want to say like that was the most interesting part, but I mean, I don't know. It's because I suppose we have 3, you could argue maybe 4 plot threads going, like 4 different like storylines going. We have the soldiers that pretty much keep having to hop ships because every ship they go on is destroyed. Then we have Mr. Dawson and the gang, and then we have the pilots. And then we have the colonel. He was a colonel, wasn't he? Where is he? Yeah, no, commander. Yeah, the colonel was the soldier. He was the soldier, and then they were talking about the tides, and right, got it. So yeah, you could argue that there were kind of 4 plot lines going on with that, and but I might honestly say that the stuff with Mr. Dawson I think is kind of the most interesting, whereas I guess all the stuff with the other soldiers that are ship hopping basically, for them it's not that it's not interesting, but it is a lot more intense, I guess that's it. I guess that's how you could say it. Because, honestly, when you get down to it, yeah, their whole plot line is they are jumping from ship to ship to ship to ship to ship until finally they're picked up by Mr. Dawson, and then they get the hell out of there, So yeah, it's not that it's not interesting, but it is... They were, like, primarily action scenes, honestly, when they're trying to escape these boats. So yeah, I guess that's sort of the way to say it. So yeah, and it's really cool seeing these people like Mr. Dawson just being like, hey, those boys, those soldiers down there, they need help, and we're gonna go help them. That's our job. We're gonna go help them, and obviously that creates conflict with the soldier that they end up finding. So yeah, that's pretty cool. And yeah, so we got the one guy who his boat was sunk by a U-boat, and he did not want to go back to Dunkirk. So the thing is, it is very complicated with that, because, and I like that they say, because I think it was George that was like, oh, is he a coward? And Mr. Dawson's like, no, he's shell-shocked, You really, like, I guess you can't blame him, You can't blame him for not wanting to go back. You totally understand why he doesn't want to go back. And, when they are going back, yeah, it makes sense. He kind of goes against them. It is a little... I guess it's just kind of unfortunate, that he tried to physically turn the boat around, and which he was just kind of doing that, you could almost say, on instinct, maybe like survival instinct, because there's 3 of them. If he just turns the boat around, well, then they can just turn it back around again, but he was just so desperate to get away from there, and in his desperation he hurt George. So yeah, that's one of those things where it's like, yes, you have to understand. You completely understand why this guy does not want to go back to Dunkirk. He doesn't want to go back to the war. He's out. He's just done. But at the same time, I suppose you could say he kind of takes it a bit too far when he starts getting aggressive about it. And you still understand the other side. You understand Mr. Dawson, who's like, hey, I have to, I feel this, sense of duty to go help these soldiers, So it's, I don't know. It's complicated. It's a very complicated thing. But that's good. Makes for a good movie. Let's see. Some of these notes that I took, you can kind of lump together. It's mainly all the stuff with the soldiers that were ship hopping, basically. Which, that's the thing. You almost wonder, like, man, do you think they would have just had better luck if they had just stayed on the beach? Now, the problem with that thinking is they do establish early on the beach is still not safe, The beach is still not safe because pretty much early on, they show bombers, hitting the Dunkirk beach. And, yeah, people ended up dying there, So it would still have been a risk if they had stayed at the beach. But you do kind of wonder, like, when all those boats come in at the end and then, all those soldiers on the beach, they hop into those boats and they get the hell out of there. It's like, man, was it worth the risk? A lot of those soldiers ended up dying, I don't know. And it's specifically because, there are those soldiers that were being loaded up. They were being loaded up on the mole and they were going, and then, the Germans came in and sunk those ships. That's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about our pretty much our main soldiers that kept ship hopping, to the point, and I think the main part of this is when they go to the Dutch boat, and they go and they're like, oh, we'll hide in here until high tide, and then, there are some Germans there, they start shooting the boat and stuff, and it's like, oh my gosh, is this worth it, is this worth it? The whole thing starts sinking. Once the tide does come in, there's bullet holes in there, so what do you do? And then they eventually have to abandon the ship and they get out of there until eventually some of them are at least picked up by Mr. Dawson. But yeah, you kind of sit there and wonder, like, man, was some of this worth it? Like, maybe you should have just stayed on the beach. Yeah, it's possible you could have died at the beach, and it's possible you could have died if you were loaded up onto one of the ships that made it to the mole. But you really stop and think, like, maybe you should have just taken your chances there, But then again, it shows the desperation, It shows the desperation to get the hell out of Dunkirk, Which is also mirrored in the soldier that ends up killing George. So it's that desperation to get out. But, yeah, it's all tricky. But I like that. I like that it's tricky. I like that you can just sit here and be like, well, if they had just stayed where they were, maybe they would have just been fine. But then you also have to be like, well, if they had stayed where they were, they could have died from bombers or being sunk on another ship, like, and I guess this also goes back to, the two of them, I guess it was Tommy and Gibson, because they brought the one guy on the stretcher to the boat, and then they were like, oh, well, you get out of here, go wait for your boat, and then that's when the two of them start to sneak away. And that's the thing, is that they basically those two are basically just ship hopping, and some other people are doing some ship hopping as well, but they're, ship hopping until eventually, they get there, and just all these different things until eventually they are picked up by Mr. Dawson, and then they make it home, So it's all like, I don't know. It basically, it makes you wonder, like, should they have just stayed at the beach and waited? So, okay, the tide, the water landing, that was interesting. I liked anytime they had the pilots, and then yeah, just the one water landing. That was cool. And again, another tense moment where the thing gets stuck and he's trying to get out of there until eventually he's saved by Peter. So that was really, really cool. And I do really like what was the other Farrier, when he's, he's pretty much running on empty, almost, to the point where, yes, that is literal, he's running on empty, but he is still going, and I do like that. And man, they do, I don't know, like, I don't want to say like they drag out, but I mean, they kind of do. They sort of drag out the tension, which on the one hand you would be like, well, okay, if they're dragging out the tension, that maybe that could ruin the pacing. But no, if anything, I guess it just makes the pacing more realistic, where I swear there's a solid minute where they're all just sort of, because they're getting everyone onto Mr. Dawson's boat and everything, and they're trying to, they're kind of ducking and trying to get away from the one guy, the one fighter up there, and Collins is like, all right, come on, Farrier, come on, you can make it, come and kill this guy, and I swear they drag that part out, that tension out, for like a solid minute, but it works. It makes it incredibly realistic, where you're sitting there like, where the fuck is he? Come on, come on, get this guy, So that's the thing. It's in this movie, you can honestly say that they sort of drag tension, but in a good way. Like, that's not a criticism. That's actually a good thing for this movie, that they actually drag out some scenes in order for the tension to be more real. So I like that. Oh yeah, I kind of wrote this down. I thought this was, I don't know, this is kind of, I don't know if I want to say funny, but it's interesting when they say, oh, he's a German spy, he's a Jerry, and it's like, yeah, that's German Jerry. It's like, I guess you can go with that. It's like, I guess if you need a nickname for a German, I guess Jerry works. I don't know, I just kind of thought, I was like, well, that's kind of a weird one. It's like, I don't know, because I mean, there's some things you could say, there's some things you could say, and I don't know, I don't know if I would have expected Jerry. The one I really didn't expect, when it was revealed that the one guy was French, and again, that desperation, the French are holding back the Germans so that the British can escape. This French guy was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here, and so he tried to blend in with the soldiers, So it's all that desperation. But when it's revealed that he's a French soldier, and they're like, oh, it's a frog. It's like, you get frog from French? I guess? Like, I don't know. It's like, it's kind of weird, like, I'm being critical of their nicknames. Like, that's not really, like, what I would go with. Like, if he had been, like, I don't know, oh, it's a baguette or something like that, I could understand it. The French have baguettes, I guess. Even then, that's kind of dumb. But it's like, I don't know. Like, I would never have thought, like, oh, it's a French guy, I'll call him a frog. I don't know. That's one where it's like, all right, come on, guys, get a bit more creative here. Say Freddy. If you're gonna go with Jerry, you could say Freddy for the French. Freddy Frenchman. So, I don't know. I just thought that was kind of interesting with the frog and with I said Jerry. I just thought that was kind of interesting. So yeah. Okay, we did have the head injury, which was pretty crazy. So yeah, I mean, he took a fall, down into the lower decks, which was pretty crazy. And not only that, but he hit his head in such a way, it really, really did a number on him. And he also couldn't see, which was crazy. He was like, oh, I can't see anything. And it was like, shit. Until later when they're just like, this guy's dead. And just all this, like you can kind of see, even though you could honestly argue maybe it's always interesting when you can see emotions where there technically wouldn't be. Like the look that Peter gives when the guy's like, this guy's dead. You can just see him, like his face pretty much doesn't change, but you can see pretty much all that emotion that he's like kind of containing until he eventually just says, yeah, well, be careful with him. Then be careful with him if he's dead, So, man, that was crazy. Poor George ended up dying. Because that's the thing, man. You could honestly be like, well, I would hate to be his parents, his parents, they're like, I don't know, because I don't think, like, would they have known? Because it feels like George, like, it was not the plan for George to go with them, but he just tagged along, and it's like, yeah, well, we went to Dunkirk, George tagged along, and he died. Sorry. It's like, shit, it's so horrible, And not even from, like, he was shot by the enemy or anything like that. It's like, do you really want to know? Because it kind of sucks how he died, Okay. We had the oil and the fire, which was interesting. So yeah, like a bunch of those ships, when they were, blasted, they spilled a whole bunch of oil into the ocean, or I guess into the channel. But yeah, that was pretty crazy. And then, just watching all those soldiers, they come out of the water, but there's oil on them, which is just crazy to see. And then it's like, yeah, that is dangerous, because if that oil catches fire, that could also, hit the boats. And man, because it's like, after this, like, because that was when they did the whole, like, minute of tension waiting for Farrier to come in and shoot down this plane. And then the fact that he did shoot him down, but then that guy specifically landed in the oil. It's like, oh, fuck this guy, Like, that just sucks. That just straight sucks. And then some of those soldiers did get burned, while others, they got out of there. And man, just the craziness where, the one guy, I'm pretty sure it was Peter who was holding his arm, and the boat was just getting the hell out of there, because it didn't want to catch on fire. And he's basically just holding on for dear life as he's being pulled through the ocean by this boat with water completely going over his face, like that. And I'm pretty sure that was our main guy, wasn't it? That was Tommy, I think. So, yeah, that was just insane. I do like the contrast of... I do like the contrast of, anytime you hear an airplane, it kind of means serious business. So then when you just see this plane just, gliding by, basically, and there is just no sound, like, that is such a stark contrast. Because, yeah, and also just, when it goes to Farrier in the cockpit, and the engine just cuts, just... and it's just like silent, and your stomach drops, basically, So that was really really cool. We got the information of the brother. So Peter had a brother that was a soldier, which is interesting. We didn't see him. We don't know where he is. We don't even know if he's dead or not. But that is pretty much part of why Mr. Dawson and Peter went out to help the soldiers, because they want to help, basically other people like Peter's brother. So I did like that. And then let's see. I wrote down home. That's the thing, man. That was kind of like a bittersweet when they got home. It's like, yeah, it's shit still kind of sucks, and like morale is super low. But I did like the one guy who was like, you well done out there. He's handing out like blankets and stuff, and the one guy who was like, oh, he, like, we didn't win, all we did was survive, and the guy was just like, that's enough, surviving is enough. Well done on surviving. So I did like that. Stay for the French. That was pretty cool. When the commander was like, yeah, I'm not... they got 300,000 people out of Dunkirk, which, yeah, that means they lost 100,000 people, which sucks. But they did get, well more than Churchill's 30,000, And I like that the commander stayed behind, and he's like, all right, now we're going to get the French out of here, I'm staying behind to help the French. So that was a really cool moment too. And then pretty much the last thing I wrote down, Dunkirk. I like that, yes, this is acknowledged pretty much as a military disaster, but everyone is pretty much like looking on the bright side, like, hey, we got 300,000 men out of there, you know? And I like, you know, because they're all, like, they're pretty much all scared, like, oh, man, we're going to be fucking, you know, destroyed when we get back, because we're all going to be, you know, these, you know, cowards that, you know, had to evacuate from the front, you know? But they are welcome back, like, hey, thank God you made it back, you know, thank God you survived. And they're all like, you know, even though this is a military disaster and a loss and everything, hey, at least you made it out of there with your life. And now we can live to fight another day. So I like that there was, I like that there was a hopeful moment at the end. But yeah, that is pretty much, that's all I wrote down for this movie. I really, really enjoyed it, and I hope you enjoyed watching me watch it. This was really fun. I really enjoyed it. We will have to see what we are going to watch next time, 2 weeks from now. And as another reminder, if you want to, some help, or if you want to help me, I guess, choose what movies that I react to, you can head down and be a $1 patron, and you get to vote in movie reaction polls to see what I get to watch on here. But yeah, that is pretty much it. Really love the movie, and I can't wait to see what we're doing next time. So with all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my movie reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.